Hello, I'm Alva. I'm a marine biologist, and I just got transferred to the Virgin Islands Institute of Oceanographic Studies. Mattis, one of my new colleagues, was arguably the team's weirdest scientist. He was extremely clumsy, a total loner, often grumpy, and very rarely interacted with anyone. As researchers, we're used to working alone, but Mattis certainly wasn't a team player. He wouldn't tell anyone about his progress or results. I used to think he was a simple, normal guy, but I accidentally discovered his secret, and it definitely changed my mind about him. That day, the director of the Research Institute had asked me to bring a folder to Mattis's room. His room was separate from everyone else's, and very few people from the Institute had any chance to visit with him. And for this reason, most researchers would call it the mysterious chamber. When I got there, I knocked on the door several times, but nobody answered me. Since I was in a hurry, I had no other choice but to open the door with the intention of simply leaving the folder on the table and quickly going out. But the scene that awaited me behind the door instantly made me weak in the knees, and my legs began shaking uncontrollably. The atmosphere in Mattis's office was sinister and gloomy. It's true that scientists are free to decorate their room as they wish to, but the layout and decor were really bizarre. The whole room had been painted black, and the dim lighting was a dark red. After getting used to the darkness, and as I looked around, I saw that an unusual skeleton was set against the wall. Its upper body was very much like a human skeleton, but its lower body looked like a fishtail. Had it once been a living creature, or was it one of Mattis's monstrous creations? This definitely piqued my curiosity, and I decided to get closer in order to touch the fish bones of the tail. But in the obscurity, my hand mistakenly pushed a lever next to the creature, thereby opening a secret door that led to a downward tunnel, and I couldn't help but enter to see where it went. I quickly reached a research lab built at sea level. It contained a large aquarium filled with what looked like sharks, and I assumed this was where Mattis got most of his research done. The smell was strong, ammonia-like, and my eyes stung. The walls were made of transparent glass, but strangely, the water inside was pitch black. I really couldn't see much until suddenly a large fishtail slowly started undulating in front of me from behind the aquarium wall. I managed to turn on a lamp set high above my head, but as I looked again in front of me, I jerked back in horror. The tail was, in fact, a mermaid. Was I dreaming? Was it, in fact, alive and real? I put my hands in front of the mouth so as not to make a sound, but the poor creature was tied up with 2 large chains and seemed to be in so much pain. The chains seemed to be lightly electrified. By chance, I quickly identified the generator outside of the aquarium and disconnected it immediately. The mermaid then managed to free herself from the chains that were tying her hips, and she instinctively dashed towards me while growling fiercely. I was so scared by the scene I was witnessing that sweat started streaming down my temples and forehead. As I removed my glasses to wipe off the sweat, I clumsily dropped them on the floor. I got on my knees right away and started searching for them frantically until my right hand touched someone's leg. I immediately heard Mattis's voice, and as I put on my glasses, which I'd finally recovered, I looked up and saw him holding an axe about ready to cut my head off. As he was swinging at me, I dodged each hit by rolling to the side, but Mattis quickly picked up the axe again and tried cracking my skull a second time. All I could think of was that my end was near, and I was ready to die then and there. But in a stroke of genius, I suddenly remembered the sharks and the sound generator that I just developed and was keeping in my pocket. I hurriedly shoved my hands in my lab coat, took out the sonic device, and turned the ring to the maximum level. A few seconds later, the sharks went absolutely insane. They began punching their heads violently into the glass walls and managed to break the aquarium open. As they slid out of the water onto the lab floor, a first whale tore off Mattis's left arm, followed by a second shark that bit off a large chunk of his torso. Blood was gushing out of his arteries and started painting the floor red, but water was oozing out of all sides too. In less than a couple minutes, the lab had become an aquarium, and I was getting weaker and weaker, fighting the rising waters. I struggled looking for a way out, and felt that I was about to drown, when a mermaid suddenly appeared before my eyes and dragged me away. Lucky guy, huh? When I woke up, I found myself safely lying on a hospital bed, convinced that the mermaid had saved me. I sincerely hope she returned peacefully and freely where she belongs, in the wild blue ocean. I told this story to my friends and was met with a lot of skepticism. They believe that I was probably saved by dolphins and that I mistook them for the mermaid. Anyway, regardless of what happened, I'm still haunted by this story, and I still work at the Institute, and I'm passionate about what I do. But I'll never look at the ocean the same way again. And I'll always be reminded of that mermaid every time I eat a meal of fish sticks.